Casting live from Andy Mark World Headquarters here in Kokomo, Indiana. And we are just so excited that you could be with us for what will likely be the season finale of AM and the PM Ultimate Edition. We put on this show because we really want to try to be the greatest service that we can. We're here to help. We want you to know that you can always get in touch with us if you've got an issue with an order, if something didn't come in the box right, if the box wasn't packaged right, or you just have a question. You want to know how to best utilize the parts, for your robot or for something like that that's going on. You've got a question. We are here to help. You can always get in touch with us at customerservice@andymark.com. Or, if you'd prefer to call in, you can reach us at 765-868-4779, and we are answering the phones 9 to 5 Eastern Standard Time. All right, so now, this week, I have a very special guest with me. She is a mentor, alumni, volunteer, all-around wonderful character. Please put your hands together for one and only Liz Smith.
Yay!
All right, so Liz, you're very well known in various pockets of the FIRST community, but like we've been doing with most of our guests, we have a few sort of get-to-know-you questions. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
Okay.
What is your name?
My name is Liz.
What is your quest?
Oh, my quest is to build robots.
What mythical creature would you like to have as a pet?
Wow. I think I'm gonna have to go with unicorn. That sounds good.
It's a fair choice.
Is rainbow unicorn okay?
That's doubly good.
All right, great.
All right, and our final question, we've been asking everybody this: what is your favorite FTC game?
Okay, well, I thought about this for quite a while, and I think I got a hint from maybe the previous shows on that I would be asked this question. So I'm gonna have to go with Velocity Vortex on that one.
All right.
Yeah.
Nick had the same answer. So, any particular reason that Velocity Vortex sort of stands out?
Kind of like this game. I like the shooting aspect, and I like the, how the goal kind of moved around and was really dynamic for that. Whee!
All right, so now our kind of intro segment, we've got sort of first in the news. And so there's some, a special announcement just kind of came out, and that is Walk Like Woody Day. Let me make sure I get to the right spot. So FIRST is doing this now for the second year, and they're gonna looks like it's gonna be an annual thing, which is really, really exciting. Dr. Woody Flowers, as many of you all know, was a significant supporter and was there at the very beginning of FIRST. He has been, many different things, but he was a executive advisory board chair, Emirates, distinguished advisor, incredible supporter of the mission of FIRST, and friend to everyone he met. That last bit is, I think, one of the most significant parts about Dr. Flowers. And so, if you can, really help to on October 12th, Monday, really kind of help make a mission for that day to sort of walk like Woody, really take that day to carry forward and reflect on all the lessons that Woody sort of taught all of us about gracious professionalism. And it is something that we all kind of try to do throughout, every day throughout the year, but sort of specifically on Monday, sort of sharing stories or photos, thoughts, videos, all things across social media, hashtag Walk Like Woody. And so, yeah, Monday's going to be a cool day. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of really phenomenal stories. Do you have a particular Woody Flowers story?
Yeah, I mean, he was a great person, and if you had the opportunity to meet him, he was one of those people who would always kind of remember who you were and, make sure that he knows who you are, where you came from, and, I think we share this story a lot, but he, is frequently seen wearing a shirt with a lot of signatures on it. Because it was important to him to get the signatures of the students who were participating in the program, not just give out his own signature to everybody, which I think is really cool. But I got to meet him at kickoff. I got the opportunity to go to FRC kickoff in 2015, and so I got a chance to talk to him a little bit before that happened. So that's lovely. That's pretty cool.
I remember back in 2011. We were actually demoing a kind of a grassroots attempt at a collegiate program, kind of continuation of FIRST. It was put together by a bunch of FIRST alumni and a bunch of collegiate FIRST college groups.
Yeah, that was like the aerial competition, right?
Yes, yeah. So we sort of had a section of the St. Louis championship event, kind of the far side of FLL. So it was really fun to sort of be around the FLL kids.
Yeah.
And we were flying robots around at the championship event. And Woody came around and he spent, I want to say, like a good 45 minutes, talking to a bunch of the people, that had sort of been sort of the movers and shakers, kind of putting the whole thing on, and really, really had a profound desire to sort of learn about what we were trying to do, why we were trying to do it, and it was really kind of exciting to see sort of somebody, especially at the championships, whose time is that valuable, be that excited about what was going on. And it was just like the whole area, the competition, the pits, everything just sort of lit up as he was walking towards us. He didn't even get there, but we all just sort of, there he is, he's coming.
Like a magical aura,
Yes,
trailing behind, yeah.
So they say some people's reputation precedes them, right? That Woody was absolutely that. You sort of knew that he was around by sort of what was going on. So if you got wonderful stories to share on Monday the 12th, hashtag Walk Like Woody. We're going to see lots of stuff all across the sort of first social media world, and it's going to be super, super exciting. So definitely keep an eye out for that. All right, and so now we're going to kind of get on to the main topic that we've got going on here tonight. And so, Liz, we've got a bunch of wheels, a bunch of motors, some gearboxes, and some various things. So what are we kind of talking about here? What's the name of the game today?
So one of the questions, one of the things I do here at Andy Mark is I'm the applications engineer here. So I get a lot of phone calls and emails from students and teachers and robot builders who kind of need a little bit of help learning how to put our parts together and how to make things work. So one of the questions I get a lot is, how do you change the speed of a motor? How do you make that work? And especially for first tech challenge and doing those parts, we have a few specific gearboxes that really kind of make that work. While using the legal motors that you're able to use for First Tech Challenge. So we brought a few of our NeveRest gearboxes, and especially some of our NeveRest Sport gearboxes as well. So here's our NeveRest gearbox. We have some of our NeveRest Sport gearboxes here, and we really use those to help change the speed and on our NeveRest motors themselves. And if you didn't really know, some people don't know this, you can actually take the gearbox off of these gear motors and you're left with the motor by itself. And this is really what is the legal kind of defined thing in the manual for what you can use on your robot. And then you can take a gearbox and change the output speed on that to kind of whatever you want for whatever you need.
That's awesome. So we sort of know that the NeveRest 40 is sort of the gold standard. That one's sort of like the middle point. But then we also have the NeveRest Orbital 20, which is kind of this guy here. And then we also have a similar to the 40, similar to the classic gearhead, we also have a NeveRest 60. And so with the sports, we go all the way down to 4-to-1, I believe.
Yep.
And all the way up to 256-to-1. So those numbers, those represent the gear ratio, but what does that number sort of tell me about sort of the dynamics of this system? We've got big numbers, we've got little numbers. How does that sort of equate to what's my output shaft gonna do?
So in general, your motor itself is always going to spin at the same speed. So when you plug it in, it's going to spin at the same speed, and then you can use your controller to kind of turn it on and off and vary the voltage to it to get a range of speeds. But overall, it's going to spin approximately the same rate, right?
Okay.
So if you want it to spin overall fast, you want a lower gear ratio. If you want it to spin slower, you need a higher gear ratio. And some of the ways that you could use that to your advantage if you use a really high gear ratio, you can use that for something like a climber or a lifter, or if you need to lift a lot of weight. In a lower gear ratio, maybe you need your mechanism to spin fast, like maybe a shooter to throw a ring of some sort. I don't know. I don't know.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, hypothetically speaking.
Okay.
Right. So, and then somewhere in between, we, like Danny said, like the NeveRest 40 is kind of the baseline for First Tech Challenge. Those kinds of things are used for like your drivetrain. So that would be an appropriate speed for your drivetrain. So yeah, we got a lot of calls in for drivetrain questions. They're like, oh, we use the 40, but we want to go a little bit faster. We noticed maybe some of our competitors are driving a little bit faster. So let's use, how do we do that? So most often I would recommend using the NeveRest 20 orbital, and that'll just get you faster going, and you can move around the field a little bit faster. But you do sort of sacrifice a little bit of pushing power when you do that.
So I think beautiful segue there. You sort of bring up a lovely topic. So there's speed of the output shaft, and there's also torque.
Yep.
And as I understand it, as we alter the gear ratio to sort of get more speed, we lose torque. Is that how that goes?
Pretty much. I know, the mechanical engineers watching are like, that's not how it works. That's you're missing a little bit. But in general, you can kind of think about that. The higher the gear ratio, the more torque there is. So that'll relate to more lifting power, more pushing power on your drivetrain. But you're definitely going to go slower. Whereas if you have a really low gear ratio and maybe like a 4-to-1, you'll find that maybe if you were to use a 4-to-1 in your drivetrain, you might not even have enough power to move forward and backwards. So we see that a lot, especially with really heavy robots and really low gear ratios. It's like, I really want to go as fast as I possibly can. Like, cool, but maybe within a little bit of a range there.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple different styles of gearbox out here on the table as well. So we have the little gear head that comes sort of on the various NeveRest motors, and these sort of exist in two different styles. We have the classic and then the orbitals, but then we also have the sports, which I believe these are the similar type of gearbox to the orbital. These are planetary gearboxes, and we have our Pico boxes here. And those are more of a spur reduction. So can we kind of talk a little bit about, maybe when I would use the sports and sort of a planetary gearbox versus a Pico box and the spur reductions?
So the spur gearbox, we actually see a lot of that in some of the larger robots as well. A lot of teams use spur gearboxes on their drivetrains. But like you said earlier, in the planetary gearbox, this kind of size and shape, this is kind of a relatively small space, but this one goes up to 256-to-1. So you can get a really high ratio in a really small package. And that ends up being really useful for, if you need to, make an arm lift, you don't have to use 100 gears to do it. You can actually package that in a really small package. So it's really useful in that regard. But something like the Pico box, like this, which we actually have with some servo on it and some 3D printed plates here. That's kind of a demo sample. But you get a smaller reduction, but definitely useful for if you need to translate two motors into one going into a drivetrain, or if you need to maybe package something a little bit differently for I could see this being used maybe in like a winch system or something like that, where you're coiling up a spool. A lot of different places you could use it.
And I think one of the other cool things about the Pico box line is, especially on something like the Pico box Turbo or Servo, is you can have sort of one layer of gear reduction away from sort of the output of the servo or the NeveRest motor only in the case of the Turbo. And you can use the Pico box sheet metal and use those plates to just do a really, really good job at supporting that output shaft. So now, as many of you will know, right, putting a lot of load directly on the end of a servo, not the greatest idea in the world. But if you can, put a gear there and you can, have a gear reduction or a 1-to-1 gearing or something, go to an output shaft that's sort of better supported on some bearings, something like that. Now you can turn that into a really high load, kind of application, and you're really sort of saving the kind of the expensive bit in the servo.
And you don't have, if you have a 50-pound robot for FTC, you don't have all that weight going directly on your motor shaft here. You have some structure that you can build into your chassis or your frame, and that'll just help make your whole drivetrain robust and your mechanisms robust as well.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the integration, so some of the next steps. So we have Mecanum wheels here, we have some stealth wheels, some compliant wheels. So I've got my motor figured out, I've got my Pico box or my Sport, my Planetary, something like that to sort of get the right speed that I'm looking for. But now I'm kind of looking to go for, you know, I'm trying to say put the power down to the ground in terms of my drivetrain. So I'm looking at some wheels. How do I get that wheel to sort of interface with the shaft or interface with the gearbox? And maybe, well, we'll start there, and then maybe we'll go for like why stealth wheel versus Mecanum wheel here in a second. But how do I sort of interface the two together?
Gotcha. So we talked a little bit about this last week, and you know, I think the tile runner is always a good choice and kind of a way to at least get an idea of how to lay out your drivetrain and get that to work. A lot of on that model, you have your gearbox going out to your center wheel, and then you can use something like a belt or even a chain or with a sprocket, some way to transfer power from your gearbox out to what you want to move, which would be your wheels in this case. So we have a lot of parts on our website that can help you transfer power. The tile runner is nice because it's all laid out. It has the right kind of belts and the right spacing to kind of get you started. But there are, you know, using chain, you can cut it down to the right size that you need if you need to do that. A lot of times in First Tech Challenge, also you can use an array of gears as well to transfer power over. There's some benefits to you know, all those different ways to transfer power, but I like belts, I think. I'm a belt person.
Very cool. So now maybe why Mecanum wheels versus stealth wheels for like a drivetrain application, or vice versa? Why would I use one over the other?
So that's a good question. Usually if you're just getting started, I always recommend 6-wheel drive. Stealth wheels are great. They're really straightforward. This is our kind of our standard gray stealth wheel here. That is our kind of our in the middle. If you're not quite sure whether you're going to be climbing over something or whether you need it to last all season, I would go with the gray stealth wheel. And then of course we have a bunch of variations. We talked a little bit about that in some of our other episodes, but with more grip, more different durometers of tread, which are different softness. You'll see that, especially you'll see it in our compliant wheel, right? Like the green is super squishy and the blue, maybe not so much, a lot harder to squish. And when you get that on, that's kind of one of these solid core stealth wheels. You'll find that it really equates to, especially if there's a challenge where you're climbing a platform or, I don't know, with a giant mountain in the middle of the field. I don't know.
The mountains were on the sides of the field?
I'm sorry. Things happen. You know, you never know what's going to happen next year or the following year. But, you know, you may want to switch those wheels out for something a little bit different.
Cool. So, speaking of the wheels, I heard rumor that you were putting together a little bit of a selection guide.
I did.
For wheels.
Yeah, it is.
This might be a great time to sort of rock and roll through that.
Yeah, this is a scientific. And this is to determine which Andy Mark wheel for First Tech Challenge is your soulmate.
My soulmate?
Yes.
So maybe not for my robot.
No,
okay.
For you.
All right.
And maybe, you know, like your spirit animal, your soulmate. This is kind of definitely something that is going to help you find that out.
Well, I think maybe this is like a quiz.
It is.
Okay.
It's like a.
Well, I think then the crew here in the room we'll take the quiz sort of, you know, together. And I'll do it on camera here, but you know, then when we get down to the end, we can get you know, maybe Brad's answer as well, or see if maybe Mary is listening in. We can get Mary's spirit wheeled animal as well. So I guess all right, I'm ready. What's question number 1?
Gotcha. So first question: it's Friday night after a long work week. What can we find you doing? Working out at the gym, watching a movie with pizza and 2 liters of soda, at a party with all your friends, or sleeping?
Oh, I'm gonna go definitely at a party.
Party. That sounds about
I
right.
mean, not now because of COVID, but like generally speaking.
Yeah, no, generally in a party.
At a party. Yeah.
Maybe it's a Zoom party or a
maybe,
social distancing
I
party.
like that.
Okay, second question. It's lunchtime.
Ooh.
What is on today's menu? Something healthy, like a salad with lots of vegetables.
Nope.
you're on a budget. How about a fast food burger? Did somebody say tacos?
I like tacos.
Or definitely a buffet. You'll take one of everything.
So I got a little bit of a spoiler to this one at lunchtime because I needed some help to figure out where to go. And my favorite buffet place, I'm not entirely sure if they're still open, and I had tacos yesterday, so I did go with the burger. So I went with the burger for lunch
All
today.
right, so we're going to go with fast food burger on that
Yes.
one. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. Next question. And we might know the answer to this one already. Choose your favorite color.
Orange.
I didn't read the answers yet.
Is orange one of them?
Orange.
That one.
Would you like to hear the rest of them?
Yes. Yes, very much so.
Green, gray, or blue?
The green is very nice, but I do like the orange.
What a surprise. I am so surprised. All right, so this is the last question.
Okay, all right.
You are building a robot for First Tech Challenge Ultimate Goal. Wow, what a coincidence there. What is its most important quality? Strength, you want to be able to drop it off a building. Imagery, you need your robot to look good. Mobility, you want it to move in any direction. Or squishy, it has to be squishy.
I think it's a bit of a toss-up between imagery and squishy.
Ooh, okay.
The being robust is important for any sort of robot. You know, you want to make sure that you want to be robust and reliable.
Yeah.
You know, so you can like make every match and do all that do all the things that you set out to do, and the moving in different directions. That's also really neat. But I definitely think that the imagery award is definitely a thing that is near and dear to my heart.
And you've won a few imagery awards, haven't you, on your Pega Myrmecornosaurus?
We are the back-to-back-to-back three-peat champions of the world of
Yes.
the imagery award.
All right,
Never
well,
lost.
like I said, this is a very scientific quiz, so I'm going to have to calculate these results up. But Danny, I think the results are in.
Oh, ooh.
And your Spirit Animal Soulmate wheel is the 2-inch orange compliant wheel. Orange, bouncy, and grippy. This wheel is one that frequently gets used on intakes and mechanisms, and is also likely to get thrown around the shop.
That's yes, very true.
You can totes relate to its orange nature.
That's
fantastic.
fantastic.
I think that actually makes a lot of sense.
It does. Yeah, that fits. Yeah. This is a very good quiz. This is fantastic. Brad, you were following along as you were doing it. Did you get
I was, yeah.
Did you need me to calculate out your soul wheel?
Yes.
Brad, you are the, I think that you are the 4-inch blue 8mm stealth wheel. You are cool, calm, collected, describes you. And this wheel can def relate. Find it in mechanisms and drives. So you are a blue stealth wheel. I know you're glad to have that calculated out for you. You're dying to know.
And I think Mary was following along. Do we get Mary's results? Do we have that from the crew back? Do we get her answers?
Well, I think Mary, she definitely is the 4-inch green compliant wheel.
Ah, okay.
Bright green and squishy.
Ah, yes.
She's the life of the party.
That's very true.
Yeah, I believe
very,
that.
very true.
I believe that's true. If your party only included wheels, that is. Yeah. Mhm. All right. So I'm glad that we did that.
We have that sorted out now.
If you two want to take a quiz or do that, feel free, and I'll be happy to make some more quizzes for you guys to do. To chat.
Fantastic. All right, so we have a question for the both of us coming in here. We have, why would you use a Pico box with 2 motors, so like 2 inputs, 1 output? Does it change the speed of the output? So I think for this one, there's a little bit of science that would have to kind of go into this one, but I think it would increase the speed a little bit because we have more power behind it. Mm-hmm. But we definitely get a lot more torque out of the whole situation, and we get a lot more power.
Right.
So that would be really exciting.
Right. But when you're calculating that out, it's not gonna like double the speed because you have 2 motors, and that's one of the things to kind of keep in consideration. The way that you kind of calculate out your speed is going to be what your motor input is, and then really that ratio is what's important for for that calculation, and not necessarily, having 2 or 4 motors. But like you said, there's definitely a lot more power behind it. So you're going to get a lot more, especially if you're doing like a 6-wheel drive and you want more power to your whole robot. Doing 2 motors into 1 gearbox and then outputting all your wheels on each side. I think that is definitely what we see a lot. And
and I think just as a piece of sort of all-around general advice, kind of given the nature of the FTC sort of rule book and robot regulations, putting 4 motors on your drivetrain is just sort of like the way to go. It's, if you have a 4-wheel mecanum drive or if you have a 6-wheel drive, putting 4 motors across your drivetrain is just really good best practice. And for a while it was the same in FRC. Having a 4-motor drivetrain was the go-to standard. It was best practice. Now that's changed a little bit with some of the new age kind of motors that are out there. But in general, 4-motor drive is going to be is going to do really well for you.
And when you use something like a Pico box and you go two inputs into 1 output and go to your sudsy wheel instead of, maybe putting a motor on each wheel individually, it'll just help all of those wheels on each side to spin at the same rate. So you're not having to adjust it. That being said, if you're going with something like a mecanum drive, you're already kind of taking in consideration that you're driving at different rates because your wheels, you want to individually control them anyway.
Right,
so.
right, absolutely. Well, very good, very good.
And I think follow-up question, what happens if the dual motors spin at different rates?
Well, I think you covered that really nicely. Yeah. So the gearbox will lock them into spinning at the exact same rate if you're 2 into 1 kind of a thing. So you're going to lock that together. They're going to spin at the same rate. One may like it more than the other. They may fight each other a little bit, but with how durable a NeveRest motor is and how minute those variations really are, you're really not going to see any sort of an issue over the life of the robot, the life of a season.
Spinning different directions, that's bad.
That's bad.
That's definitely bad.
That is a good way to pop fuses and blow breakers and all that kind of stuff. So you want to make sure that you plug your wires in the right way and you get that stuff kind of going the way that it works. All right, very cool. Hey Brad, any more questions coming in from the chat room? Not at this time. If you have any questions out there, put them in the chat. Brad, our guy in the chair, he'll make sure that we get to see him. All right, so now moving on. We have a couple bits of awesome news that we wanted to share. One bit, real close to home, some Andy Mark news. In case anybody would like to know, we now have available power shots and tower goals as separate elements that you can purchase. So we've had the combined assembly pretty much since kickoff day, but we've had a couple people request for a power shot or a tower goal separately, and so those went live on the website, I believe today. So we're not breaking exclusive news here like we got to do in our first episode, but if anybody's curious or out there, you can now get those 2 as separate elements. They will, if you buy 1 of each, you can put them together. They'll work just great. But if you really want to practice on like the real thing, here's a way to get that exact part that you're looking for.
Sounds good.
All right. And now, hey Brad, is it robots in the news or meme of the week first? Either one. We're going to go with robots in the news first. All right, so this one's really cool. I was digging through our list of online robot news repository articles, and I saw Squidbot. This thing's really nifty. It was developed from University of California, San Diego, and it is a soft robot, which is kind of a new trend in robotics. People doing a lot more with soft robotics. It is soft to protect the various plants and animals that it's swimming around with. And they took a lot of inspiration from squids as opposed to other sea creatures because squids themselves are soft and they're very fast. And so they, a lot of soft-bodied robots in the past have been slow-moving and this kind of stuff. And so they're like, hey, soft-body squids, they're really fast. They check all the boxes. And this particular Squidbot robot has cameras and various other experiments and various other sensors on it so they can inspect coral and other fish and lots of really cool stuff. So if you guys are interested, check out Squidbot from University of California, San Diego. They've got some cool videos up there on the interwebs, and it's really cool. It shoots little puffs of water, jets of water out its backside, and they have some LED tentacle thingies.
Wow.
It's really neat. All right, and now, one of the moments you've all been waiting for, meme of the week. Bow, 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 bow.
Wow.
All right, so from user EchoHoseFire on Reddit, still can't figure out why the programmers are scared of Python. Does this guy really look scary to you? With that hat, not at all. I think that is a fantastic meme. And to everybody out there, I don't think Python's really all that scary. But I'm not a programmer and I've never played in Python. So, yeah, it's probably not that scary. All right, very, very cool. And we have a contest. That's the next thing. Wow. All right, thank you, Brain. So if you guys want to drop in the comments down here on the video, as we're going here on the Twitch, I believe the comments are over here, which compliant wheel, which FTC compliant wheel is your spirit animal? Spirit wheel animal? Yep. You know, if you kind of follow along with some of the questions that we were asking earlier, and take a guess at what your compliant wheel animal is going to be. Give us a real quick 1-2 sentence. You know, why?
Yeah, definitely why.
Definitely the why. The why is the
That's
important
really
part.
important.
And we'll pick one of these out, and we will send you a wonderful, lovely prize pack. And so, if you are our winner, feel free to reach out to us at aminthepm@andymark.com. And we will get those prizes sent out just as quick as we can.
I think my spirit wheel is the...
That's right, we didn't get your answer.
That's okay, I'm the curator here.
Oh,
that's
right.
fine. Right. I definitely think the gray stealth wheel is my aura here. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, all right. All right, question from Beep Beep Lettuce. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a NeveRest motor? Well, I know the wise owl once said that it took 3 licks and a bite and a crunch to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. I would not advise licking a NeveRest motor. And that's not just like a COVID recommendation. That's like a just don't do that in general.
General recommendation.
Yeah, don't lick your NeveRest motors. That's a bad idea.
I mean, it takes, I think, 3 screws to get the gearbox off, but besides that, definitely not intended to be tasted. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think that question may have come from inside the building here. So,
I'm glad we have so many fans.
Yes. You guys are the best. All right. Brad, did we get him? Oh, we got one. We got one. I think Brad's giggling / smiling. We're waiting for just a quick moment here, and I think we'll get our spirit animal wheel of the week from the comments section.
I really can't wait.
The anticipation is just it's palpable. We could cut the tension with a knife. All right, so from Manny Lowe. Hello, Manny. Manny says his spirit wheel animal is a 4-inch green compliant wheel. It matches me for being squishy. All right, so I think we will maybe send a prize pack to Manny or a designee of Manny's choosing, and we can help get a prize pack out there into the world to one lucky winner. So thank you very much, Manny, and for everybody else who is playing along with us. Unless we have anybody else who's answered our wonderful, silly questions.
Or has a real question to ask.
Or has a real question. We are taking real questions as well. So we are all set to go on that front. And now, as long as I find my outro, there we go. We good, Brad? All right. So we've been really excited for all of you to join us here on episode 4 of AM and the PM Ultimate Edition. And across the past month, where we've been able to join, get to talk to everybody every Thursday night. It's been really great to be able to, help out this community and sort of share a lot of the knowledge that we have here at Andy Mark. And we're always excited to help out sort of, any which way we can. So if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call or send us an email. But for me, for Liz, and for the whole team here at Andy Mark, thank you, good night, and good luck this season.